Speaking of excited, SBI just released their patch notes for the NDA playtest, ladies and gents. We're looking at the new patch for SBI's Albion Online. There are some, I would say, questionable decisions and some that are going to change, I think, at least the meta for Stalker Corrupted Dungeons. And I'm excited about it. We're here to talk about the NDA patch. And they say here, in this patch, we are addressing damage output between range and melee weapons in large-scale fights. To achieve this, we are adjusting the resilience penetration on all melee weapons and lowering the resistance or the resilience curve on melee weapons. Lowered resilience penetrations will lead to lower damage outputs in large-scale battles. This is offset by lowered melee resilience, leading to melee versus melee damage output staying similar. But ranged weapons now deal more damage versus melee weapons in large-scale fights. So they are buffing the range, right? Or they're buffing the range damages. It's very exciting. I know the main focus of this patch is going to be the large-scale fights and probably will trickle down to smaller scale fights. But there are some changes here that will affect 1v1 and 2v2. Okay? Here we go. So for the bows, this is the first one. The bows, the Lucent Hawk, which is the Mist Piercer. Just a slight damage buff from 160 to 180. So if you don't know, Mist Piercer has definitely fallen off of the meta in like ZVZ. The longbow definitely is a more preferable option compared to the Mist Piercer, but the Mist Piercer is going to get a buff in this next patch. Crossbows, the Divine Engine, which is the Energy Shaper. The cast time now is from 1 second to 0.7. Again, in line with the theme of making ranged weapons more viable. And now it has lesser cast time. I don't think this is a very big change because, you know, in the ZVZ fight, you usually have stuns that last longer than that. So this doesn't really, or this is not really going to change that much. But as we have seen in some of the ZVZ fights, Energy Shaper hasn't been really used that much. So hopefully the Mist Piercer and Energy Shaper comes back to the meta in ZVZ. The Curse Staff, though, the Life Curse is going to increase its radius by from 5 meters to 6.5 meters. Life Curse, if you don't know, is used sometimes in 1v1 in Corrupted Dungeons, and also in some elite players in 2v2 Hellgates. So its range is going to increase by 5 meters to 6 meters. In terms of solo and duo content, not really that much in effect, but as with the theme of this patch, ZVZ, it can have like a very good effect because that extra 1.5 meter radius will give that Life Curse, the backline DPS or backline support, more area to work with. Plus, this is a 1.5 radius. So in terms of diameter, it is going to be 3 meters increase. Okay. The Damnation Staff as well, the dot damage from 18 to 24. Again, focusing on ZVZ, it can be really, not really a lot in terms of damage output, but the Damnation Staff is mostly used for piercing the resistance of players. So it's a good change. In terms of daggers, ladies and gents, the Bridled Fury is getting a buff. Just a little bit, just a tad. Bridled Fury, very popular in ZVZ's burst damage, insane. So they're getting a buff. Slight buff. This is one of the most controversial ones, man. This is one of the most controversial ones. And yes, they are sticking to the theme of buffing the range weapons in the game. But like the Searing Flame, if you don't know in the Far Staff, and I'm a Far Staff main, I've been Far Staff main for like over a year. The Q3 ability is called the Searing Flame. This is all on Fire Staffs. They are actually reducing the cast time from 0.3 to 0.2. Now, if you look at that, you may be like, oh wait, 0.1 second. Why would you even consider that a buff, 0.1 second? But if you think about it, that is actually a 33% 33% faster cast time. And as a fire main, it actually is a very big buff. Because yes, you can actually dodge the Searing Flame because it's a skill shot. It's not really a targeted skill. But 0.2 seconds of cast time with the pork omelet is probably going to be like 0.16. And that is so good. I can see Corrupted Dungeons being run by Fire Staffs now with Q3. And the Furious Flame is the Q3's 4th skill. So if you hit 3 Searing Flames, it turns into Furious Flame. Now they are going to reduce the cast time of that by 0.1 second as well. Not only that, but also increasing the damage from 191 base to 210. This is going to be one of the most OP Qs out there. Definitely. One of the most OP Qs, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to fight other Fire Staffs with this one. Yes, it is a skill shot and it has a travel time, but it is not really that difficult to hit, to be honest with you. Alright, for the Frost Staff, the Glacial Obelisk, the cast time is now from 0.6 to 0.4. Increase in damage from 15% to 20%. Cooldown increase from 15% to 20% as well. Not a lot of players actually use this. I don't see this being used often because there are more viable W skills on the Frost Staff. But this can probably be used in like HGEs. HGEs can probably benefit from this, right? Because you get 20% cooldown and 20% more damage. It's like having an eel stew, 0.3 eel stew probably. That can help with your team in HGEs. War Gloves. Okay, Spike Gauntlet. Fix the AoE damage escalation. The damage versus plate is reduced. Leather and cloth, they're all reduced. So this is a pretty significant nerf actually, the Spike Gauntlets. So they did not say anything about damage versus mobs, but usually it's under leather. So I wonder if the damage versus mobs were changed because Spike Gauntlets actually are used in Mist for clearing the Abbey. The Ursine Mauler. Fix AoE damage escalation as well. The damage per tick now is 32, so slightly reduced, and the delay damage is slightly reduced by 10% as well. I don't see this having a big effect overall. I think their usage is going to stay the same, the Ursine Mauler. Hellfire Hands. All right, so this is the second buff in a row for the Hellfire Hands. Remember, they actually increased the damage, I believe. Or they redid the damage escalation for the Hellfire Hands. They made it front loading now with the 210, 140, and 70 on the first, second, and third. Now they are further increasing that. And you may see more Hellfire Hands in Stalker Corrupted Dungeons. It never really is like a very good weapon, at least against fire. Against other melees, I can see that happening. But other ranged weapons like Frost, Curse, I don't see it actually being as effective. But you could probably see more Hellfire Hands in Stalker Corrupted Dungeons. Wow, the Fist of Avalon, they're actually increasing the damage of the punch. Not by much, but holy crap. It's one of those weapons that you can't actually stop. The Fist of Avalon purges and then damages. So you don't have any defensives that you can use except for like resistance potions probably to basically block the damage of this, and they are increasing it. That is interesting. And it's definitely going to hurt more. Spirit Animal on the Rampant Staff, on the Nature Staff. Healing increase per player from 0.2 to 0.25. Healing per tick 13.5 to 14. So like minimal. Barely noticeable heals or buffs here. The Claret Blade. Ooh, the Claret Blade's Crescent Slash. The base has been reduced. Nice. So the base damage has been reduced, but the 3-stack damage has been increased. So this is like just a rebalance because the Claret Blades usually in like 1v1 or even like 2v2, they would actually just use their E, even in the Mist actually. No stack E would deal okay damage, okay enough for them to not actually use the stacks. That's really good. This is a really good nerf because you are going to rely heavily on your stacks now, specifically the 3 stacks, in order to deal more damage. That's pretty good. The Kingmaker increased damage on all stacks. Quite significant, I would say, because these are like base. These are base damages without specs, without anything. So it's actually pretty significant, I would say. Kingmaker getting a buff. The Galatine pair. All right. Uptime of the area is 1 second to 0.8. That they're increasing the stacks. So this is one of those ZVZ builds mostly used in faction warfare. Galatine pair is definitely one of those that you need to watch out for because they usually use delayed blink. So they are getting some love. The helmets. Moving on to the helmets. The Duskweaver helmet. Ooh, Duskweaver helmet's cooldown from 30 seconds to 20 on the first cast. The second cast, 30 seconds to 25. Duskweaver helmet, I believe, is the Spider-Man, the Spider-Man thing. So it has not been used in the meta that much, not a lot. And decreasing the cooldown from 30 to 20 and 30 to 25 may be enough to like add it to the meta, but I don't see it happening. The Royal Helmet. Ooh, the Royal Helmet actually nice. So they are rebalancing this. The hit delay is no longer 1 second, it's now 0.6. That's very good. Very good for initial engage. The stand time is also decreased from 0.4 to 0.2, but the stun duration is reduced as well from 2.66 to 2.22. I think this is overall like a rebalance, but I can see this as a buff because that hit delay is basically something that you have to time perfectly. And if you cannot time that perfectly, it's pretty much useless. So they are balancing it for PvP, but I can see this as a debuff or a nerf for HCEs actually. The HCEs, you need that higher stun duration more than the hit delay and the stand time anyways. Minor cap nerf. Now also decreases all damage you deal by 50% for 6 seconds. Fix an issue where the spell was cleansable by allies and unpurgeable by enemies. I think minor cap. What is the minor cap actually? This is not the sleep though. Not the sleep. No, this is not the sleep. The harvester cap is the sleep. It's the anti-CC. The minor cap is the anti-CC. I am not aware that minor cap is being used that often. Oh, there you go. Minor cap has been nerfed a little bit. Mend wounds on all armors. Initial tick is 0. Nice. Number of ticks is 8 from 12. Yes. Healing per tick is 6 to 9. Energy per tick is 5% to 7.5%. It's actually really good for PvE. Now it matches with this actually. This was buffed, I think, a couple of patches ago, where you actually gain more energy in shorter period of time. Now they are buffing this as well so that you don't wait that long when doing PvE. That's a very good change. The Enfeeble Aura on the Guardian Armor, the spell is now a toggle spell. This means it also is unpurgeable. Ooh, interesting. It's no longer purgeable, the Guardian Armor. Now, while active, it reduces the caster's damage by 15%. Alright, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And the energy cost is 10 to 8%. So this is a big buff, but this is a big nerf. So you are going to decrease your damage by 15%. Not only that, it uses 8% now. It's not just the 10 base. Spirit of Vengeance, the Harvester Garb. The buff duration from 8 seconds to 10 seconds and does not increase gathering speed anymore. Alright, to all of our gatherers, take note of this. It no longer increases your gathering speed. So the same with the Miner's Garb, Courier Garb, Lumberjack Garb. Increases your duration, but it no longer increases your gathering speed. That is the same for all of the gathering Garbs. Alright, for the Water Shield, it makes you immune to slow effects as well. But again, it just doesn't increase your gathering speed anymore. That's very interesting. Why would they do that? Actually, very interesting. Why they would not give gatherers more gathering speed. Okay, for the shoes, the Crush Charge on the Duskweaver boots. They are getting nerfed. They have been really popular in ZVZs actually lately. So the Duskweaver boots ability is now from 15 meters to 12 meters, and the cast time is 0.4 to 0.6. Interesting. Are the capes? The devious traps for the heretic cape now spawns 2 additional traps behind the player. 2 additional traps behind the player. Trap area duration from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. So they are making this more of an AoE more than anything. So I'm assuming there are going to be 3 traps now. But now it's going to be reduced from 10 seconds to 5. That's pretty good. Alright, potions. These are big changes actually. Alright, big changes. Potions. We are adjusting all potions for the upcoming updates where new potions are added, and we are introducing potions enchantment up to level 3. Wow. If you guys are not familiar, potions can only be 0.1 in this patch, and ever since it's been like only 0.1. So 0.3 potions are actually going to be really big. Potion scaling is now changed from linear scaling to have more impact in the mid-level potions, similar to the progression of food strength. So the changed scaling of potions on all potions, potions now start with a bit less power in low tiers and have more value in their mid tiers while staying similar at the power level at the end. Okay? For the energy potions, split the energy gain into instant energy, and then remaining would be... Ooh! Nice! So they're splitting the energy now. So energy restoration immediate is 64%, and the remaining 36 will be restored over 7 seconds. That actually is a very good buff. Actually a very good buff, because you don't want to wait for your energy to be like super low and then use the energy pots. Now you're getting 64% right away, and while you're using your skills, you are still going to get 36% restored over 7 seconds. That's actually pretty good. Now also increases cooldown rate by 7 seconds, for 7 seconds by 9% for tier 2 and up to 30% for 6.3. Okay. 0.3 potions are coming, boys. 8.3 invis will be good. Sticky potions, their area of radius increased from 3 meters to 3.5. Now removes other sticky potions in the areas within 15 meter radius as well. So you can no longer stack potions like in a line. Alright, poison potions. Cast range is now increased to 11 meters. A poison enemy is now slowed for 0.2 seconds every time the target takes damage. And the poison duration is now 4 seconds. The tick rate is now from 0.7 to 0.5. Damage is no longer affected by ability power. Doesn't reduce resistance anymore. I was about to say the increased duration actually is really good because it decreases resistance anymore. So poison doesn't reduce resistances anymore. It just deals damage now and slows people. That is not good at all. It is now just damage and slow. The damage resistance is what the poison potions were actually used for. Especially for like 1v1 and 2v2, because you poison, you shred their resistance and you just go at them. Now it's only damage and slow. That is very interesting. It's very bad. Yeah, I used to break armor with that. That's really bad. Okay, food. Oh no. Oh no, food. Cooldown reduction has been one of the most powerful buffs available on food, as it increases their damage utility, and mobility. That's true. To reduce this all-around buff and promote other viable food options, we are reducing the cooldown reduction value on food. Wow. Food that increases max HP points is much less frequently used. To make food with this buff more competitive and viable option, we are aggressively increasing its value. These changes below will reduce or increase the value of every food that has a buff comparably to its current state. Okay, alright. Cooldown reduction on food decreased by 20%. Okay, so what does that mean? What does that mean actually? Now my 0.1 pork omelet has a cooldown reduction rate of 15%. So does that mean I go 15 times 0.8? Does that mean the cooldown now is going to be 12% instead of 15% for the 0.1? Which, honestly, is a big nerf. Honestly, it's a big nerf. And the max hit points buff on food increased by 30%. Okay, so here's what's going to happen to my set. Let me just show you my set real quick. So this is my set. What's going to happen now with the cooldown rate being reduced, I may actually switch because the cast time of the fire staff is going to be reduced as well, right? It's going to be 0.2 base, and with food, it actually is 0.26. If you look at it, and I'm just probably going to point at it on the VOD, it's 0.3 and 0.4. Now, if I eat food right now, right here, it is going to be 0.26 and 0.34. And the cooldown is reduced, obviously. But the only reason why I actually prefer pork omelet is because that 0.26, that 0.04 seconds actually surprisingly makes a lot of difference. So what I'm going to do now is, instead of using a taproot, which is very expensive, I am actually going to go with a, if I can find it, this one. I'm going to go with this, the Mist Caller, because of the cooldown reduction. Don't really need the cast speed anymore, because the cast speed on my Q is pretty much buffed because of the fire staff buff. Instead of using that, I'm gonna use this, and I'm going to use most likely this one right here, because it is going to increase my health by 30%. I mean, the max health will be increased by 30%, so it's 9.45 right now. Multiply that by 0.3, 1.3 actually. I'm assuming this is going to be the case. It's going to be increased by 12.28 for the flat food. So my build is going to be going to change to that. It's actually less expensive. It's less expensive by about, how much is that? Let's just call that like 50, 70k. So this is going to be more popular now. And I'm going to go with like 0.1 Pyramid Snapper because it gives me like more health. That's going to be the case. That is interesting. Very, very interesting. Holy shoot. Gankers got nerfed, so now instead of 10 players, they're bringing the entire guild. Yes, your roasted snappers will sell more. Yes. That is an interesting change. I like it because I already have an option for my build. My build is actually going to be, it's definitely going to be stronger. That is gnarly, dude. Wow. Big changes, man. Big changes. It's insane. It actually is insane. I like these changes, to be honest with you. I really like it. I'm looking forward to it. As a fire staff main with it pretty much buffed my entire build, so I'm not complaining. I know a lot of players hate the fire staff and they're going to continue to hate the fire staff, but it is buffed. Our set is specifically buffed. There are complaints over here. No complaints over here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below if you're watching on YouTube, and let's discuss it live on Twitch right now.